All right, what's up, everyone? Jammer here from Jammer's Wrestling Magazine Collection, and I thought I'd do a video for today. I haven't done one in a few days, and I thought, you know what? I want to do one on something I haven't done yet, and that is on the NWA/WCW Championship belt. The guys who appeared on the cover with that said title. So I went through my magazines as per usual, found a good chunk of the magazines with the belt on it. So I'm going to start off with this one here. It's The Wrestler from September 1981, and we get Wildfire Tommy Rich on the cover with the NWA World title. That's a good shot at Tommy. He only held the belt for, I believe, 4 days. I want to say it was 4. I could be wrong, but I think it was a 4-day reign. He beat Harley Race and lost it back to Harley and never held it again. Inside Wrestling, January 82, we got Ric Flair, new NWA champ. Ric Flair, which way will he take the NWA title? So it's a little shot of Flair there, but we're going to see this photo of Flair with the NWA title coming up a lot. Like, not that exact pose, but like from that same photo shoot. And or if not that, maybe it's just he happens to be wearing those trunks a lot because March 82, we got Ric Flair here again holding the NWA title. Blue trunks, same kind of look, same era. He was Wrestler of the Year that year. No surprise, Ric Flair won that many times in the early through mid-80s there. October 82, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, we have Ric Flair on the cover here as the World Heavyweight Champion. It says, Ric Flair's startling confession, I hate being champion. Well, he didn't hate it that much because he went on to hold it like officially 16 times, unofficially like probably 24 times. Like, it's ridiculous how many times he held it. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, November 1983. This is a nice shot. This is one of the only shots we're going to get to of this. It's Harley Race with the NWA World Championship. Harley defeated Ric Flair for that title and won it pretty much to set up for Starrcade, right? I mean, that was the whole thing. Ric Flair versus Harley Race for the World Championship at Starrcade 83. And speaking of which, Sports Review Wrestling, March 84, here it is. Ric Flair regains the NWA World title in that bloody cage match with Harley. And it was a pretty good cage match. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. Actually, go back and check out Starrcade 83 in general. Really solid event with a lot of great wrestlers and a lot of great wrestling action. I actually appreciate that card more now than I did, as a kid or as a teenager trying to watch it. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, April 84. This is a classic. It's one of the magazine covers that people always want to own. It's the Ric Flair one in the suit with the NWA World title. A second chance at greatness. This, of course, after Starrcade when he beat Harley. Inside Wrestling, July 84. Flair brings the world title to New York area. There it is, Ric Flair. Again, the blue trunks, that belt. It seems like Rick had a look then, and that was the look. Those blue trunks that he wore in a lot of the big time matches. Now, I don't have the Pro Wrestling Illustrated cover with this man as world champion. It's hard to find, and if you do find it, it's really expensive. But I do have the Wrestler one, September 1984. There it is, Kerry Von Erich, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Won that at the David Von Erich Parade of Champions. And there we see Kerry with that belt. And I have a Sports Review Wrestling from November 84 here. It looks like it may have been, I don't know when this was because Kerry's wearing the same tights as that photo, but there he is with the NWA World title. There's a good shot of Billy Jack Haynes, too. I believe he was a champion down in Florida at the time. I didn't watch Florida Championship Wrestling. I still haven't seen anything of it really, unless they show clips of it on the old Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling or something. The WWE Network hasn't put any of it up on the network to watch, so I'm really unfamiliar with the Florida wrestling territory. November 85, we get a sweet shot here of Ric Flair with that NWA World title and the trophies in Japan. He went over Japan a lot for the NWA and really did well over there. Always had great title matches. March 86, PWI Year-End Awards. We get Flair on the cover again, holding the world title. It's something that we're going to be seeing, throughout this video is Flair with that championship belt. Wrestling Superstars Summer 86. Again, there's the Nature Boy in red this time with the World Heavyweight title belt. Hogan and Hansen with their respective world title belts too. And now we get into something different. That title belt gets retired. It gets put away. It's time for a new title belt. And Dusty Rhodes here, the first one to show it off. It's on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, December 86. There it is, the big gold belt, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship now has a big gold title belt, and the name is on it as well. And Dusty Rhodes would win that at the Great American Bash, defeating Ric Flair in the steel cage. He would only hold that belt, I believe, for 6 days, I want to say. And then he lost it back to Flair. And December 86 of The Wrestler, we get Ric Flair right there on the cover with it. Ric Flair's 4th NWA title reign, last chance to quiet the critics. So there's Nature Boy with the big gold belt. That will be around his waist now for every title reign he has coming up. Wrestling Superstars. We get Flair again with the World Heavyweight Championship right there. And so that belt now is making the covers. We get December 88 with the Four Horsemen. They all have title belts, but Flair's belt's kind of hidden there by J.J. Dillon's head. Again, this is a great cover. I just love this photo of these four, or I should say 5, because Dillon's in the photo. It just looks awesome. I always wanted this magazine. I now have 2 copies of it. It's just amazing. I just love it. November 1990, we now get Sting on the cover with the NWA World Championship belt. That, of course, happened at the Great American Bash 1990. Stinger defeated Flair to win his first World Championship, holding it until January of 91. The Wrestler, November 1990. Here's a good shot of Lex and Sting. And right after, I believe it's that same photo shoot, Luger's saying that title belt should be around my waist, and Sting saying Lex is my friend, he'll watch out for me. Lex did eventually turn on Sting, but Lex was champion at the time when it happened. July 91 of The Wrestler, we get Nature Boy Ric Flair on the cover here, once again being world champion. He had that match in Japan with Fujinami. Fujinami won the NWA World Championship, but WCW didn't recognize it and said Flair was still WCW champion, even though Fujinami won the NWA World title. It was really, really messy, a messy situation there. And January 92 here is Ric Flair with that world title belt. This will be the last time Flair ever has that championship belt around his waist for a few years, because he'll be headed to the WWF very shortly. The Wrestler, November 91. We have the total package unraveled. Lex Luger wins the WCW title but loses his fans. Now, the reason why Lex isn't showing that championship belt right there is because Ric Flair took the big gold belt with him when he left WCW. So they had to make do and create a new title belt. And really fast, they couldn't do it so quickly. So what they could do is they took Dusty Rhodes' old Florida title he used and put WCW like on little metal thing and kind of like screwed it over the belt, so that's all it said. And it was such a really horrible looking title belt, and I'm so glad that they changed it to this Wrestling 91, Winter 91. Look at that, Lex Luger with the WCW World Championship. That there it is right there, as you can see. It looks really good, really nice. I always like that belt. Maybe that's just me, because I know some people prefer the big gold title. I like that version of the WCW title belt. Sports Review Wrestling, June 92. Here's Sting with that title. He defeated Lex Luger at Super Brawl 2 to win that belt. And that right there is taken right after the match. Of course, a little trivia for you. Super Brawl 2 was held on February 29th. It was a leap year day that the pay-per-view was held on. Inside Wrestling, June 92. We got Stinger on the cover here with that WCW title belt, a new champion, a new era, his greatest match in his own words. So Sting again looked good with that belt around his waist. Held it till he lost it to Big Van Vader, of course. PWI September 92. There's Sting with the belt again. Looks like it's from the same photo shoot. But now here's the thing. I don't have any magazine covers with Vader as heavyweight champion. But I do have the man that defeated Vader with the WCW title. It's Wrestling Superstars, December 92. There's Ron Simmons with the WCW World Championship. Thumbs up to the new WCW champ, Ron Simmons. I dedicate my world title to Sting. So that's the only magazine cover that had Ron with the world title on it. You think this would be a bigger deal. Ron Simmons, the first ever black world heavyweight champion. I'm surprised Pro Wrestling Illustrated didn't get Ron on the cover. It would have made sense. Never happened. It's just Wrestling Superstars. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Winter 94. We now get Hulk Hogan there holding that belt on the cover. He came in, won the belt at Bash at the Beach from Ric Flair in 94. And the hoster would hold on to that title, for a while, and made a few magazine covers here. We get March 95 Pro Wrestling Illustrated hoster with the belt and the Wrestler of the Year award. Inside Wrestling, June 95, we get Hogan with the belt there with Randy Macho Man Savage. Hogan, of course, and Savage were tagging up at the time in WCW. And September 95, we get Dan Severn with the NWA World Championship. Wait, what? Dan Severn with the NWA World Championship? I thought, isn't that the belt Hogan has? Okay, so now we go to an interesting situation here. In 1992, WCW brought back the NWA. So what happened was in 88, when Ted Turner bought the company, he got rid of the whole NWA thing. He changed the name of the company was WCW, but the belts were still NWA titles. NWA World Title, NWA World Tag Title, NWA World Television Title. They all had the name NWA on it, and all were considered that still. It wasn't until Flair left with the big belt and they made the new title, then they got rid of the NWA tag titles and made WCW tag titles, and same with the television title. And it was like the NWA was kind of gone. And then Japan wanted to bring it back. They had a tournament in Japan in 1992 in the summer, and Masahiro Chono defeated Rick Rude to win the NWA World Championship in that tournament. Chono would hold it till he lost it to Muta. Muta would lose it to Wyndham. Wyndham would lose it to Flair. Flair would lose it to Rude, and then it was, I believe, Hase, then Rude, then Sting, then Flair again, and that's when they united both belts and made it one, and that's when Flair kept the big gold belt, and the WCW title belt that the likes of Luger and Ron Simmons and Vader held was gone. It was no more. So the NWA title then came to be as a part of ECW, and here in the January 95 issue, ECW, to hell with the NWA. So there's the belt right there. Dennis what's his name? Carluzza, I believe he pronounced it. Dennis Carluzza and Todd Gordon are holding the NWA World Title there. Shane Douglas was ECW champion at the time, Eastern Championship Wrestling champion. He would defeat Too Cold Scorpio in the finals, win the NWA World Title, and then proceed to throw it down and hold up the ECW title and say he's the ECW World Champion. So the NWA then would go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling for a tournament, and I'm sure Jim Cornette loved that. And Chris Candido won the title in the tournament. I believe he defeated Tracy Smothers in the finals. I think that's what it was. Candido wouldn't hold it that long, maybe a month, and he lost it to Dan the Beast Severn. Dan Severn would go on to hold that title for like 4 years. He ended up even appearing on WWF television as a part of Monday Night Raw as NWA World Champion for like a year. So the NWA was kind of back. So that means what we see now is strictly just WCW. And November 95, there it is, Hogan with the WCW title. That's it now. So the lineage of this title belt now technically only goes back to 1991. So it's so confusing. It really is, because technically that big gold belt was around in the 80s, because I showed you Dusty Rhodes had it, Ric Flair had it, the likes of Ricky Steamboat had it. I mean, Ronnie Garvin had it. It's not like that belt started in 91, but because they're going to base it on WCW lineage, it does. So what a just a ridiculous, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, it'll make you go crazy if you're trying to figure it out and try to draw lines to go back to the beginning. You really can't. April 96 for PWI, we get Hogan again on the cover with the WCW championship belt. Wrestle America, Spring 96. The only time I've found when looking that you can see Randy Savage with the WCW championship, and you can't even see, like, look at that. The belt is there. It's just covered by words, so you can't even see it. But yes, Macho Man had the belt, and he held it 4 times in WCW. This is October 96. We get the Giant with the WCW title belt. Again, words over top of it, but there's the Giant with the belt. And we get another one with the Giant. This is the Wrestler, December 96. And again, the belt's kind of covered there, but there you see it. The Giant's got it right there by Hogan's head. So he ended up losing the belt to Hogan. Holiday 96. I'm a little bit confused by this photo of Hogan. I don't even know where it's from. He's got black trunks on and a black shirt. And I don't know if that was like supposed to be his normal Hulkamania stuff. And they, what do you call it? Did some Photoshop on it and made it all black. I'm not too sure because he doesn't have the beard there either, but it's just a hilarious photo to see the belt like that with all black on Hogan. However, October 97 for Inside Wrestling, here is Hogan in black with the belt, and that belt's supposed to say NWO in black, but by now it just looks like a giant black schmodge of just nothing. Like, that was just, over time, that did not age well, that on that belt. It just looked ridiculous. Starrcade scandal. We got May 98. There it is. Stinger holding the belt. There's times Sting with the crow look. And one of the only times on the cover I see Sting as the crow gimmick with the WCW World Title belt. December 98 for PWI, we get Goldberg with the WCW World Championship belt there around his waist underneath those words. That'd be an awesome photo if the words weren't there. And Goldberg, of course, was a very dominant WCW World Champion. And the last one I found on the covers that I own is from August 99. We get a bloodied Ric Flair with the WCW World Title belt. This time the NWO is painted red because of Wolfpack. It looks a little better. You can actually read NWO. But how fitting that the last photo on here is a bloody Ric Flair, because Ric Flair had that belt, around his waist so many times in the 80s and even though throughout the 90s he dominated that title belt. So there's a brief little history of the NWA/WCW World Title belt, including the offshoot version of it that went to ECW and Smoky Mountain Wrestling and even WWF. Like I said, Dan Severn showed up on Raw and was there for a year. So, what is everyone's favorite belt? Do they like the original NWA title that looks like a rectangle, or do they like the big gold belt? I think I like the big gold belt myself. And of course, the big gold belt would end up going to the WWE and becoming the world championship on Raw at first, where Triple H dominated it, and then it went to SmackDown, and Batista dominated it there. So, and then Edge eventually held it onto it for a long time. So it was passed around for a long, long time. But yeah, I always liked the big gold belt. It looked cool. It looked like a world championship. It was big. It was exciting to look at. Just all gold. It just looked like a champion's belt, and that's what it was supposed to be. So yeah, my favorite champion though would probably be for the big gold. You know what? I liked Barry Windham's title reign because I'm a huge Barry Windham fan, and I know Barry got it kind of late in his career, and maybe it doesn't mean as much because at the time, the WCW title and the NWA title were both in the same company at the same time, and I think the NWA title was kind of looked at as a secondary title because Sting and Vader were feuding over the WCW title, and when the British Bulldog came into WCW, he said he wanted to go after Big Van Vader's belt and not Barry Windham's. So, but no, I think Barry looked good with the belt around his waist. It's a shame it didn't happen much earlier in his career, like maybe 87. I never understood why they had Ronnie Garvin beat Ric Flair for the belt, not Barry Windham at the time. Maybe because they knew they were going to put Barry in the Horseman. I don't know, but just the whole I think if Barry Windham versus Ric Flair was at Starrcade '87, it may have sold a little more tickets better than Ronnie Garvin and Ric Flair. I believe the fans started booing Garvin and cheering Flair in that match too, because it was in Chicago. So it goes to show you how smart they were to put the belt on Garvin. And nothing against Ronnie Garvin, just he's no Ric Flair. But yeah, Barry Windham was my favorite world champion that held that big gold belt. Definitely. His match with the Great Muta at Super Brawl 3 is incredible. Go watch it now on the network if you can. It's an awesome match. Actually, Super Brawl 3 in general is a really awesome event. So just watch the whole event. It's really appreciated, I think. A lot of great matches on that card, including a Smoky Mountain Wrestling match with the Heavenly Bodies and the Rock and Roll Express. So, there's some trivia for you. So the Rock and Roll Express appeared, and the Heavenly Bodies appeared on WCW pay-per-view in February of '93 and the WWF pay-per-view in November of '93, and they both were wrestling for Smoky Mountain Wrestling at the time. Like, how randomly weird is that? The only difference is Stan Lane was in Super Brawl and it was Jimmy Del Rey at Survivor Series. So there's some useless knowledge for you guys to hear during this video. But okay, so that's it. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I think I'm up to like 253 now, which is like incredible. Thank you so much for coming along on this ride. I enjoy having interaction with you guys in the comments, so keep it up. And until I do my next video, I will talk to you guys later.